Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This afternoon we have like an extra special broadcast. It is the Healers Showcase where we're talking to Tammy Coyne, who is a healer out of Tempe, Arizona, coming from Colorado, I think.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. All right.
Oklahoma.
Jade, we're going to go into some really awesome conversation today. And if you want to learn more about Tammy once we're done, you can find her at thedoorsofwellness.com. So I want to thank you for being here, Tammy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. We are hoping technology holds out, but other than that, we're in a great day.
There you go. Well, if we get too sketchy, I'm going to turn off my video so that we're not using so much bandwidth. That seems to make a little bit of a difference. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You have, like in our conversation leading up to this, you have a lot of talents and a lot of gifts. Can you give people a little bit of a synopsis of your toolbox, so to say?
Okay, sure. I'm so sorry. We've been cutting out. So I think you were asking about my toolbox that I use when I work with clients. My toolbox consists of my writing, my speaking, and if I'm working with clients one-on-one, we are using hypnotherapy, transformational coaching, toe reading, intuitive essential oils for their emotions, and I may use cards, energy, empath abilities, really pulling from every experience of my life to deliver what the client needs for their transformation.
I absolutely love it because you operate very much very similar to me in that we have such a huge toolbox. It's what makes every session unique.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yes, it's fantastic.
Awesome. And you were sharing with me some miraculous client stories and transformations. So
I do.
I guess I want to explore a little bit more about why that's so important to you and what amazing things do people get from working with you?
Well, I just got God bumps over that one. I spent a lot of my life, I came from a very significant traumatic background, and I spent 30 years of my life in traditional counseling and always feeling invisible, always feeling that I wasn't really being heard or that I wasn't really being seen. And no matter how much effort I put into my healing, it just felt like I wasn't going anywhere, like I was constantly in quicksand, constantly felt trapped, constantly felt just that I wasn't getting anywhere. And I had such big ideas that I wanted to make a difference in the world, but I couldn't get through my own healing. And I wanted to be the practitioner that I could never find for my clients, whether I am working with them one-on-one or whether I'm teaching them in a group or writing a story that I know is going to impact them. I want to deliver something to them that I searched and searched and searched for and didn't think existed. Essentially bridging the gap between mainstream counseling and holistic healing, and really marrying those two things together to give people something that goes far beyond what they believed they could get.
I always love how Spirit brings together that connection because I feel you. That was my story too. So many years of trying the analytical approach and what was supposed to work, and it really not working for me. So
Yes.
when, I guess, can you tell me about, like, I had a moment where I realized like this wasn't working, so I'm going to look on the other side. Like, did you have a moment like that?
I had several moments, and mine was a progression, and to be clear, every counselor I ever worked with made a huge impact in my life. Um, they were phenomenal. They saved my life. So I don't want to discount the work that we did together at all. What I do want to add to is that I felt like I got to a point where I needed something different. There was a point in my life where what they were doing for me, I wasn't ready for anything beyond that. There came to a point when my health started to fail, and I literally had a spreadsheet of diagnoses. And I ended up doing my bachelor's degree in my late 30s, early 40s. And I started working on the mind-body connection, and I started looking into that. And at that point, I had $500 worth of prescription copays a month. I had a spreadsheet of diagnoses. So I made a conscious decision. It took a little while, but I made a conscious decision to stop taking medication. And I don't advocate that because, everyone has their own path. But for me, I was so sick of focusing on being ill. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want another diagnosis. I didn't want another prescription. I didn't want any of that. I wanted something different, and I became very interested in just working on my mind and how do I shift from thinking of illness to thinking of wellness. And that was the beginning part of the journey that ended up, snowballing over years into where I am now. Now I take zero medication, nothing over the counter, nothing prescribed. I don't see doctors, and I literally had a team. I believe that unhealed emotions are under every physical ailment. They start out as some sort of unhealed emotion, either from your current life, from your familial history, from a past life. So how do we look into that? And that started this. That's the short version.
I love it. I think it is absolutely awesome. There is a reason that the phrase is now out there, dis-ease.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the more you focus on, oh, I have a headache. Oh, gosh, my head hurts. Well, I'm just not feeling well today. Well, you can put yourself right into illness very quickly, instead of, I have a headache. I wonder what's underneath that. I wonder what that's trying to tell me. And headaches so often are connected to boundaries, that your boundaries have been impeded somewhere, at home, at work, whatever. You're someone who has trouble saying no, and people are putting their agendas on you, resulting in a headache. And it's much deeper than that. That's very simplified, but to help people start to see and explore what actually created this headache, when you can get to the core of what's going on there.
Yeah, and I just have the desire to backtrack for a minute. When we're talking about getting off medications, like I have had clients be able to do the same thing. I just would like to add that it is something that, like, that was done under a doctor's care, correct?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, my doctor, and again, I like I said, this is very simplified. I don't advocate stopping medication. I don't advocate not working in conjunction with your doctor.
Yeah.
Every person has a different path. my path was so, my desire to stop that route in my life was so strong. And I was an adult who made my own decision that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we're on the same page that way.
Absolutely. And I tell clients, there are some clients who don't fully understand that, and they're in no way ready for that kind of a drastic shift. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I like to refer to like the energy work that we do, that intuitive work, as or complementary medicine rather
Sure.
than alternative, right? Because like
Absolutely.
you said, it's not one or the other, it's in conjunction.
Absolutely correct. And a lot of the time, the people who are drawn to me, they have already made that shift before we ever started working together. That they've already started a shift that happened long before we actually met.
They've laid the groundwork already.
Right. And they are looking for again, they feel like they're searching for these missing pieces that they can't find, these roots that they're unable to locate. They keep getting the same information over and over and over again, and still feeling like they're not finding what they need.
And you get to help guide that adventure and discovery, which results in like amazing transformations. Can you tell us about a couple of those?
My clients have varying degrees of challenges. They're all very serious challenges. Some clients were on the verge of suicide with a plan, and something called out to them to give one more try, and they started looking for an alternative. In these cases, it was an alternative to the mental health system. They had been, outpatient, inpatient, on medications, diagnosed, and basically feeling like they were broken, and taking them through some healing with coaching, with questions, with hypnotherapy, with aromatherapy, with teaching them breathing techniques, and really asking them questions they've never been asked before, to start the transformation. I have clients who were just feeling depressed or feeling anxious, and had tried a lot of different things and just weren't getting results. And our work together, the questions that I work with them on the conscious level, and then with hypnotherapy, working at the subconscious level, helps them start to release things that they may not even be consciously aware of that are keeping them stuck. I had a 19-year-old client who had debilitating anxiety. He had tried everything and was just feeling very hopeless. He found me on a Google search, and he had someone drive him to the appointment. They drove about an hour and a half to 2 hours to see me each week. We spent about 3 hours together, and then he would drive home. Actually, he didn't drive. He had fear of driving. So our first 10 sessions, someone drove him. Our 11th session, he drove with a passenger, and our 12th session, he drove himself. He later, shortly after we finished, bought a car, quit his job, moved across country, started a new career, was evacuated by a hurricane, dealt with that, and then ultimately even moved back. So all along his journey, he would text me and say, "Oh my God, look what I did! Oh my God, can you believe I did this?" And he's doing fabulous. He's just doing fabulous. And
That is amazing.
yeah, he he really wants to be a writer. And when we met, he was in a very small Oklahoma town, working in a shoe store, feeling very uninspired and anxious and depressed. And now he's actually working on a book that I hope to be seeing probably this week, actually. So yeah, really
Wow.
cool.
And I
Yeah.
love it because you're talking about like a really like relatively short time frame, which
Yes. Yes. When we were working one-on-one, again, I have a client who released two music singles. It's just like there's something burning inside them that often is pushed down, pushed down, pushed down. They've been denying who they are authentically, which is ultimately what's creating all of these problems. And when I was working with them one-on-one, our sessions would last until they organically ended. And sometimes that would be 3 hours, and sometimes it would be 5. And we worked together each week, and it was 12 sessions, and we were done. I maintain open communication with them. They can call me, text me, email me at any time. And the thing is, they're not calling, texting, or emailing in crisis. They're calling, texting, emailing me about all the amazing things that are happening in their life since we worked together. I had 3 of my clients in the period we worked together bought new cars. One of my clients moved cross country. One of them released 2 music singles. Another one up-leveled her life and got a new job. I mean, it just they just do miraculous things, but they're ready to do miraculous things.
and how amazing is that for all of you? Like
Yes.
I know how I feel about watching my clients expand and like I don't know if you have an analogy that you use. Like the one that I tend to use is it's like watching a flower bloom. Like it's just magical to witness too.
It is what, I do have a master's in counseling, but I opted to go the holistic route. But when I was working through my internships for my master's degree, I worked with a lot of people, and a lot of times someone would say, "Well, gosh, that's so depressing. What you're doing, the kind of people that you're working with." And I said, "Really? For me to see a light go off in someone's eyes that they know they've been seen, they know they've been heard, and we have talked about how magical their life can be and what they can create, there is no better feeling in the world."
Yeah, the ultimate win-win scenario.
It is, because as one of my clients has told me, she said, "Do you have any idea the kind of impact that you're making in my life? Because what you've taught me now ripples out to my family. It ripples out to everyone I work with. It ripples out. I'm a different person. I am a transformed person." And she really had such a beautiful way of talking about what we had done, what I had been able to open her eyes to. She's able to, I mean, people will say, "Oh my gosh, you've lost weight. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, you're like a different person. What are you doing?" And so she's able to share her experience because she's completely transformed. And I use the caterpillar and the butterfly analogy a lot with my clients. And as I said, caterpillars are perfectly fine. They are a perfectly fine creature, perfectly fine. They have no desire, some of them, to be a butterfly. No desire. They're perfectly happy being a caterpillar, and that is fine. It's the caterpillar that feels like something's missing. The caterpillar that says, something about this life that I have isn't quite right. And I keep telling all the other caterpillars, and the other caterpillars have no idea what I'm talking about. And I hear them, see them, and actually help them become that butterfly that they believed was possible. And that is magic.
That is awesome. I use butterflies all the time. I'd never thought about it like that. That's fantastic.
Well, I had a conversation with one client, and she said, well, why, if we're all perfect, because that's another thing that I help my clients see. They're not broken. They're actually whole and complete. Well, if we're all perfect, then, she was getting hung up on, then what's, how does growth fit into that? And that's when we talked about that analogy that, you're perfect as a caterpillar, absolutely. But it's when you feel that something needs to shift, something needs to change, that doesn't mean you're less than perfect as a caterpillar. It just means you're ready to evolve to another stage. And that continuous desire to evolve and be something in the world. And most everyone that I've worked with has this overwhelming sense that they are here to make a difference in the world.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's beautiful because it is through our own healing and our own transformation that we can create those ripples in the world.
It is. It truly is.
The one that I use with my clients often is that growth and that healing is like lighting a candle in the dark. The candle doesn't need to do anything. The automatic result is that the air around it warms and lightens.
Yeah, true. Very true. And, one of the things that I help clients to see is how to balance. And what I mean by that is many of my clients, not all of them, have gone through some pretty serious types of abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, that kind of thing. And I had someone say to me one time, how can sexual abuse possibly be good? And I said, I'm not saying that it's good. What I'm saying is that what I gained from it allows me to sit in front of you and help you right now.
Yes.
So when I began to see that while, yes, I don't discount that I've been through some horrific things, I don't discount that. What I've learned to do, though, is say, what did I learn? What skills did I get that I wouldn't have had otherwise? The ability to hold space, the ability to hear what's not being said, the ability to have compassion and love someone when they've lost their way. Those are all things, those are all gifts that I received for the challenges that I faced.
I love it. I turned off my video so that we can stream better, but I have a huge smile on my face because that is exactly the same approach that I take with people.
Yeah.
That, those horrible experiences, not that you would condone them, but when you find, exactly like you said, how they empower you to
Mhm.
help and connect with other people, like that's where the
Yeah.
magic happens.
Well, it is. And the thing to be clear about, this journey of mine took a long time before I could even entertain that there was anything positive that came out of that. And because of my own healing, now I can present it to clients in such a way where we start to explore how they evolved, how they grew through that process, because we're not taught to celebrate. We're not taught to celebrate what we've done, what we've managed. And if you lived through that, you survived that, well, shit, let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate you. Look, oh my gosh, look at what you've done. So what kind of skills did it take for you to grow through that? It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. And I have a quote that I use often, and I use this analogy a lot, and I always botch quotes, so I won't even try. But the gist of it is, skilled sailors are not made by calm seas. And the thing about it is if you are here to do big things, whatever that big thing is, you're not going to get there by sitting on the side of the shore. You're not going to get there by sailing around with everything being like glass. No, you're going to have to be out there in the middle of the storms to get the navigational tools you need to get through the rest of it. And I feel so incredibly blessed that everything I've been through allows me to know in my body what it feels like, so that when I have a client who needs my help, I'm not speaking to them because I read it in a book. I'm speaking to them because I felt it in my body.
Yeah, which is super, super powerful. I think that's what makes us a bit different and unique when we come from that intuitive, empathic place. Is there is a big difference between
Yes.
what you intuitively know and can sense and can help people through versus relying on them to identify it and then the textbook process for getting through it.
Yes.
Right? I'm not sure that was articulated very well, but
yes. Well, the intuitive part of it, absolutely, because the intuitive part of it assists with knowing questions to ask, but also the real world experience that you move through yourself helps you to know questions that, unless someone has experienced it, they're probably not going to know those. They're probably not going to know those things.
yeah.
And that is how you create a safe space for that client, because they know they're safe. They know they can trust you because they can feel it. And that's everything. That is such a cocoon for them to heal, because they know they're safe. They're not judged. They're not going to be harmed. They're understood. They're seen. And it gives them the freedom to heal.
Yeah, there's immense value in the ability to create that container, like you said, right? I love chatting with you because we have so much in common. I think another gift that we have in common is the ability, as an analyst, from an analyst background and an intuitive, we kind of get to bridge the gap between those realms. And it also looks like we have experienced some technical difficulties. Oh, we lost Tammy and now she's back. So
I know I made it back. I was trying to get back through the phone and looks like we connected on the computer.
Yeah, no, it works well. So I love how passionate you are and how super talented you are when it comes to helping people transform that trauma into freaking greatness. Like,
they are great.
I can't imagine how freeing it would be for somebody with debilitating anxiety to not have that anymore. Like, that is huge.
I know.
Right? To go from suicidal to releasing music singles. That's ginormous.
People, that client was also self-harming, and she has found no need to self-harm since we met. And the thing about it is I don't know if I'm just really special in that I was chosen to have these amazing people come my way. I don't know, but it is such an incredible gift to me. And I can get teary. I can feel it. It is such an incredible gift to me to have been chosen to do this work and to have received the clients that I've been sent. They are gifts to the world. And the world almost didn't get to know about them. And that is amazing.
Ooh, that brings tears to my eyes. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, because the thing about it is, I would say that, and I tell them a lot, if there is something in them that has been put on their heart, whether it's a song, whether it's a story, whether it doesn't matter. And maybe it's not even anything that extravagant. It doesn't matter. If it was given to them, if, let's say, if I had chosen not to use my voice to speak and work with these people, they were very seriously going to take their life. So if I had chosen to withhold my own voice, it would have taken away from their life. We are all interconnected, and showing people how valuable they are is a gift that I don't take lightly. I was a shy little girl that could barely even say my name if someone called on me, even as a grown adult working for the Internal Revenue Service. That's a pretty big grown-up kind of job. And I would be called on in a meeting and my throat would close off. I couldn't step into my own voice to say my name. And Spirit, God, worked through me until I received the ability to use my voice to help other people. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, no matter what it takes.
And that brings tears to my eyes just because our stories are so similar. For me, as a child, the safest place I could be was as invisible as possible.
Yes.
And so it takes a ton of healing for you to be able to find your voice, for me to be able to be seen in order to like essentially do the same thing. Like we help people to see that they are amazing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's it. And the thing about it is, if you've been sitting on the side, not doing anything, not getting messed up by life, not getting hurt, not being a hot mess, not if you've been going through life unscathed, then chances are you're probably not here to do anything gigantic this time around. But if you've been through hell, you've been through the storms, I promise you're here to do something big. And even if that means sharing your story with one other person, maybe you save a life that day. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily be on a stage or be in a book or do anything else. Maybe you saved one life. And because you saved that one life, maybe they saved another life. That's the power of your value in this world.
We can never comprehend the vastness of that ripple effect.
No. It is the web of life, and everything is truly connected, interconnected. Even if you believe that what you have done, good, bad, or indifferent, does not impact someone else on the other side of the world, you are sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
That's why it's so vital to understand your value so that you can continue to put good out in the world.
Well, and that's what I often say to people, like, heal yourself and you heal the world. Right?
Sure.
Because of that automatic, like you don't, like you said, you don't have to speak on a stage. You don't have to do the things that you and I do. Even just the way that you approach the cashier at the grocery store, the girl that makes your coffee becomes different, and it affects their day that then affects when they go home, and it's just so monumental.
It is. My cousin is one of my most favorite people in the whole world. He went through all kinds of drug addiction, prison, all kinds of other things, and he's not one of my clients. But what he did was he found his voice. Someone believed in him, showed him something. He now owns a company. He now works with other people. He's being that light in the world, whatever that looks like for you. It does not matter where you are as long as you are impacting in a positive way. You have the ability to change somebody's life even if they're just watching you. They're watching your actions.
How powerful is that?
Yeah. And we have a whole bunch of littles out here running around who are magical little beings watching us to know what to do next. And so every action we have, every word that we speak, every thought to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So make it good.
Well, and I want to come back to like the power in sharing your story. You've done that a few times now. And
I have.
Yeah. And so I really want to touch on the latest book that you launched that hit bestseller status on Amazon, which is, especially because we're talking about trauma and healing. So When I Rise, I Thrive is a compilation of stories aimed to help people with just that thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. It is a compilation of shared stories of transformation through various types of trauma. We had probably over 70, I don't remember the exact count, but we've roughly got over 70 authors in this book. And we've essentially created what you might say bite-sized stories of a particular area in our life. And so the reader gets an opportunity to take in one story or take in several stories, in a quick time frame. Let's say maybe it's on a lunch break, or maybe it's on a regular break, or they're needing a pick-me-up or an inspiration. And you've got people of varying degrees of whatever it is they're doing in the world, plus whatever type of story it was that they walked through. And the feedback that we're getting from this book is just fantastic. In fact, one of my clients, in fact, several of them, have talked about how impactful this book is, and they want.
It looks like we lost Tammy again. Technology can be like that. But When I Rise, I Thrive.
Lost you again.
Book, and it's new, isn't it, Tammy?
Yes.
Now that you're back.
It's brand new, yes. Actually, we just launched the book on the 17th of January, and we went to bestseller status on the 18th. And some of my clients, as you know, I've worked a lot with trauma. My clients have said that it's a book that they want to buy many copies of and just leave it around for people as kind of a pay it forward thing, for someone to be able to just pick it up and read it. And you never know who's going to get it, and which story is going to impact them the most. It's such a beautiful effort. We are just thrilled at how well it's been received.
Well, and I think that is absolutely amazing, because I think the most dangerous thing that happens in our society is thinking that you're all alone in your experience. So
it is
why my podcast is called The Connection Project. It is my main focus, because you're not alone. And so I think it's a beautiful way for people to be able to realize that. And trauma
it
comes
really
in all
is.
shapes and sizes, right?
It surely does. And what some of the wonderful comments have been, how wonderful it was for them to hear so many different kinds of stories. All the writers have a different style. They have had a different kind of life. So even if, let's say, you really resonate with this one and maybe not so much this one, but you're still able to get information from it to help you in whatever it is you're doing. And the book also has some coaching questions at the end of it, and some ways for you to journal actually at the end. It's a fantastic effort, and I am so proud to be part of this book. We were rising in the personal development and spirituality category. In that one the other day, Brene Brown was first, Gabby Bernstein was second, we were third.
Wow.
Which is pretty huge. We are rising in divorce, we're rising in grief, so many different categories, and it's just been phenomenal.
I love that there's an interactive piece to it. So for anybody that is listening or watching this, head on over to Amazon, grab it. When I Rise, I Thrive. which I love
Yes.
the title.
Absolutely. And if you'll go on Facebook, we have a Facebook page called When I Rise, I Thrive. And during our launch party, which was just this past Saturday, several of the authors went on and did Facebook Lives speaking to the audience. So you get an opportunity to maybe find the author of a particular story that impacted you. And from that, we're continually going to be doing little things. As an example, several of the authors are in Phoenix. We've talked about getting together all of the authors in this area and doing a book signing, something like that. And so I'm from Oklahoma, so I definitely want to make my way to Oklahoma and do something there. The book is, it's also at Barnes and Noble. We are also have a locator number out on the Library of Congress. And so it is our desire to make sure that as many people as possible know about this book, to exactly that, know that they're not alone. And the back of the book has all the contact information for all of the authors. So in the event they wanted to reach out to the author, they have the ability to do so.
That's awesome. And I know from my own personal experience too, it's so much fun to be part of a group of authors that are, just out there trying to help people out. And, because you're not alone. You don't have to walk this journey by yourself. One thing that's always important for me too is that there's no scale of trauma that,
No.
But my favorite picture that I ever saw on Facebook was a big tall dog and a little dog walking through the mud puddle. And it's how deep the mud is a matter of perspective, because the little dog gets up to his chin and the big dog gets up to his ankles. And I think that's
exactly right.
It's a society thing that wants to say, oh, well, this is worse or that's worse. When at the end of the day, tell me if you agree with this, Tammy. At the end of the day, what I tell people is it isn't a matter of the situation. It's the story that you created from the situation.
It is. And the thing about it is we've all had different lives. We all have different personalities. We all have different ways of navigating things. We all have different purposes for our lives. And one of the things I've said, let's say, for example, you've got one person who had one trauma and you've got one person who has many traumas. Well, that doesn't mean, the one with the many traumas wins. I mean, there's no contest here. Perhaps the person with the one trauma, it was so heavy that it weighed out more than 15 of these traumas. I mean, it's like where is this thinking? It's like in here. How did it impact your life, and how do you grow through that? How can you take that to shape you and birth it into something amazing for the world?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. So on that note, we're running a little close to time here. So how do you do that is the greatest segue into, I always love to ask people, what is the one thing that you wish people knew?
The one thing I wish people knew is that there is no such thing as impossible. You're possible. And if it is in your heart to do it, it's possible. Everything is possible.
I love it. Thank you. For anybody listening, again, if you want to learn more about Tammy, get in touch with her. That website is www.theDoorsofWellness.com. empoweringmotivatinginspiringandtransforming.com. It'll be in the description here. And head over to Amazon, grab the book, When I Rise, I Thrive, because even the title has the energy of empowerment. I love it.
Yeah. And one more thing, I founded a movement called Emit Now, and it is for people who believe in empowering, motivating, inspiring, and transforming either their own lives or the lives of others. It's a free membership. You get a certificate, and I hope to eventually create t-shirts and all kinds of things, but it's emitnowmovement.com, and it really is just that energy, that intention of doing something amazing in the world.
Awesome. Thanks for being here with me, Tammy. Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching.
Thank you.
And until next time, I see you, I feel you, and I love you.